This is an RNZ podcast.
It's 22 minutes to 9 is the time here on RNZ National. And that means it's Midweek Mediawatch o'clock. Colin Peacock joins me from our studio in Wellington. Colin, are you told more often that you're a Type A or a Type B?
It depends. I think from about 8 a.m. Monday through to maybe 11:30 Wednesday night, Type A, and then tailing off as a Type B.
Right, until Friday afternoon and you realise that the Sunday's Media Watch is still 10 minutes short and then you turn to Type A again?
Yeah, that's right. And then when it's all over, and so just a long slack Type B slump.
So it's a needs
all the way
must.
through to Monday morning.
Needs must. Excellent. I'm glad to hear that. You're flexible. All right. Well, nice chatting to you, Colin, as it always is, on a Wednesday. Let's dive in headfirst to some media news. And, well, they say if you want to bury bad news, late on Friday is a good time. And a beautiful case in point, last Friday with the resignation of the Reserve Bank chair.
5:49 p.m.
I couldn't believe it. I thought that was so cynical, I've got to say.
Well, yeah, so did I. And in fact, this was talked about just in the last hour or so when Wallace and the panel guests, Phil Goff was one of the panel guests, and he took the opportunity to have a bit of a dig at Nicola Willis over her handling. We'll come back to that in a minute. But, news has to break sometime, doesn't it, Emil?
It's just alarming how regularly it tends to break after 5 o'clock on a Friday, Colin.
That's often, though, when that happens, it's often like a release of a report or something like that. Something will take the media some time, and that's when it feels like punishment. You know, there's a story in there somewhere when it make you work for it at the most awkward possible time. And also, there's that aspect. If you're a journalist, you think it's that. If you're talking about news cycles, you'd be thinking like, if we get this out too late for the 6 p.m. news on a Friday, hopefully it will die off by the Monday or lessened. That's part of the calculation. But in this case, Dr. Neil Quigley, Reserve Bank chair, he had been under pressure in the media already. This was because of his handling of the resignation of the governor, Adrian Orr, some months back, which really was sudden. That was not at all well explained, just this explanation of a personal decision. And Nicola Willis, Finance Minister, had come under a lot of pressure to explain more, given many opportunities and many media outlets and not taken them or declined them. And so in the end, the media went to the Ombudsman to force the release of official information on this. And it had to be, well, with recourse to the Ombudsman in the end to show that there was more to this than just a personal decision. And then it also emerged that there'd been a meeting between the Finance Minister, Nicola Willis, and Dr. Quigley about 3 p.m. on the Friday. So that partly explains the timing of 5:49 p.m.
If the object was to try and avoid or minimise scrutiny and bad publicity, and I'm sure many journalists, rightly or wrongly, feel that might be the case. Do you think it worked? It's a big story. It was still being aired in the media after the weekend, that's for sure.
Yeah, and what day is it today? What are we at? Wednesday.
We're on Wednesday.
Yeah, and it was being talked about on Wallace's panel as well. But, it did mean that there was scant coverage on 6 p.m. news that night, too late for Checkpoint, just. I don't know whether you had anything on it on nights or not.
I don't think we did last Friday.
Yeah.
I don't think I was on last Friday. No, it was Mark on last Friday.
Okay, never mind. But it was perfect in a way for News Talk ZB because its host, Heather Duplessis-Allen, had been asking questions about this of Nicola Willis and others persistently. And their drive show on ZB is on air till 7 p.m. and the 6 p.m. hour is pretty much devoted to stuff about business, finance, economy, etc. And the Finance Minister is a regular guest. So Heather Duplessis-Allen quizzed Nicola Willis soon after 6 p.m. So, within 20 minutes or so of that resignation announcement dropping, pushed pretty hard by Heather Duplessis-Allen on whether her meeting with Dr. Quigley that afternoon was a catalyst. And it was good stuff. Here's a taste of it.
I received his resignation at 4:55 today.
So, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out it's your conversation that sparked him to resign, right?
Look, I've had a couple of conversations with him today, but of course I've previously had conversations with him about this matter. I've stated publicly that I have not been satisfied with the way that the Reserve Bank had handled Official Information Act requests relating to the exit of the former governor.
Well, the thing that annoyed the media the most, it seems, was the attempt to withhold information after being told that Adrian Orr quit for unspecified personal reasons back in March, yeah?
Yeah, that's right. And I guess if you're Nicola Willis, you do have to be careful about what you say because of the independence of the Reserve Bank and so on. And in fact, Phil Goff made that point on Wallace's panel because he was trying to make a point about Christopher Luxon earlier, saying that he'd been giving his reckons to Christian Hawkesby, the acting chair, and that could compromise the independence too. So these are things they have to take seriously as well. But look, there were Official Information Act requests from the media, the Ombudsman getting involved, the Reserve Bank. Also, they knew that the board had presented a letter with concerns about Adrian Orr's conduct and that they had not seen that, didn't know what was in it. All this wasn't adding up with the sudden resignation of just a personal reason. And a very blunt piece, which is an interesting read, Janae Tibshraeny, Wellington business editor of the Herald. I love this headline. Nicola Willis shouldn't have waited until the public discovered they had been misled before really cracking down on the Reserve Bank board. Right. Not one you would have got on a newspaper page, I think. It's more like the sort of full Daily Mail thing, isn't it?
Tell us what you really think.
Yeah, but it had a real strong start. Cut the spin and stop trying to play 4D chess. It isn't working. Both the Reserve Bank Board and Nicola Willis have engaged in what looks like a cover-up of the circumstances surrounding Adrian Orr's resignation as governor back in March.
A cover-up? That's strong language, cover-up.
But in this case, I think it is literally true, and it's what she's trying to say, and she backs it up in the column. Her belief, Janae Tibshraeny, was that, in her saying, look, I didn't have all the information, I can't go weighing in, there's legal jeopardy. Janae was saying in her article, look, I think she had the same information weeks ago that she had, last week when this decision came to be made, and she was expressing her unhappiness with the way Dr. Quigley had handled matters relating to Adrian Orr. So, I think she really meant that. And Richard Harman, the veteran writer, he's got his own site, Politic. He had no qualms about using that. That was in his heading too. And he went a bit further. He picked out a quote from Dr. Quigley saying, look, you have to remember the job of Reserve Bank Governor is one where you face unrelenting critique of your actions no matter what you do. There is a time when you think, having achieved what you want to achieve, that's enough. That was something he'd said. And Richard Harman's analysis, to use a technical journalistic term, what Quigley said there was BS. He said that was evident from the timeline which the Reserve Bank has released. There were almost 2 weeks of escalating tensions and then this exchange of letters and so on. So, no journalist who'd spent any time looking at this was at all satisfied with the way it was shaping up or the fact they had to, take recourse to the Ombudsman, so kind of go external to force the release of this stuff.
Well, this affair is at an end now, probably, unless something else comes to light, which who knows. In sum, do you think it's a good result for the media? Yeah,
you wonder. Maybe if learnings are taken going forward by the parties and better outcomes result. Let's see. But I don't think anyone would want to be in that position if you're an official or someone who has to make these kind of calls, of being in that position that Dr. Quigley was in. And, he had said, I think earlier, apart from being late with our OAA responses, the approach we took in responding to requests was a reasonable one. Clearly, the media do not agree, and now the minister's saying that too, in a way that she didn't before that resignation. But maybe officials will look at this and say, look, it is better, to be frank. No one wants to be, having to look like the one that had not acted in the right way and had to be forced to by either the media or the Ombudsman, or a combination of one utilising the other. It's also kind of not known in this when people engage lawyers and when non-disclosure agreements, became a requirement for an exit arrangement. So who knows? But actually on that, Heather Duplessis-Allen asked Nicola Willis about that too, near the end of what was a fairly intense interview last Friday.
Yeah. Ultimately, the Ombudsman has viewed that the public interest in the matter was such that they should have waived that concern. And it's my view that the way this matter has been handled has not been of the standard I would expect, has become a distraction and has ultimately had a negative reputational effect for the bank.
Yeah. You know what I think? I have asked you on a number of occasions what happened there, and I think you should have been upfront about it as well. And I think cutting Neil Quigley at this stage saves you bacon, but only just,
Well, there you go. Again, tell us how you really feel.
Yeah, well, I mean, she had many, many times say, look,
Yeah,
this
that's
is
true.
stinky. She described the whole affair as stinky and expressed her displeasure at not getting straight answers or any answers from the Finance Minister about it previously. So fair enough.
All right, let's move on. Oh, Mark Leishman, by the way, has sent me an email. It was indeed featured that story on the panel on Friday night.
Should have done my research. So Mark had to go to the Ombudsman to get that.
Let's talk about the Tamaki Makaurau. Well, actually, just before we talk about the Tamaki Makaurau by-election, I saw today that Return of the King, Henry Cook, the esteemed Henry Cook, the great political journalist, is back in New Zealand, starting his job with Stuff very shortly, and he sent out a tweet which I quite enjoyed. Colin, which said something like, "It's great to be back in New Zealand. It's really lovely to be back in New Zealand." And it was a photo of a vending machine filled with what seemed like dozens of different types of V energy drinks. So I thought that was quite exciting news, because I really like Henry's reporting, and it's great to have another really big gun in the gallery, I think.
So some people get off the plane and kiss the turf. Others go, where can I get the good discount, the 2 for $9 on, Liquid Death or,
Well, ironic, I suppose, given that they're trying to ban energy drinks in the UK, aren't they?
I only heard that on, I think, in a trailer in Checkpoint. I actually went looking through the Checkpoint running order as it was posted online to see if they'd done an item. But I think, unless I'm hearing things, I heard Lisa Owen say that they had proposed, which sounds like one of those things, doesn't it, when you're a government in trouble, throw something out. Energy
drinks, that'll get them on our side.
Yeah. Do it at 5:49 on a Friday, see what happens.
Exactly. All right, well, I spoke to...
I hope his writing's as good as it was. I enjoyed his stuff when he was away, because he could take a different form and all that. But, maybe it's like,
I hope
getting selected for national sports teams, you when you're in these other leagues, it doesn't count. So maybe he's just got to come and start all the way at the bottom again, prove his bona fides.
I don't know about that. His newsletter, his Substack newsletter, Museum Street, is very good. So I look forward to reading his stuff once he starts up again. Right, I spoke to Hayden Donnell, formerly of this house, on Midweek Mediawatch, about Oreni Kaipara when the former broadcaster was named as Te Pāti Māori's candidate for the Tamaki Makaurau by-election, and whether the spotlight on her was different because she's a former media person. And there's certainly a media spotlight on her now, isn't there, now that voting's underway?
Yeah. When she was selected as a candidate, I did think, just a lot of attention because she's someone off the telly kind of thing. But a lot of this relates to an interview she did. This was with TVNZ on the Q&A show, and Jack Tame, who has challenged a lot of politicians with those long-form interviews. And this interview did not go well for her. And this is where this is the part you might have seen. It's gone around the socials and so on, where Jack Tame asked her, name a couple of things that Te Pāti Māori has achieved.
Can you think of any?
In opposition, where Te Pāti Māori has, they have repealed quite a few, and actively repealed. We're still in the process of repealing. I know, there's not much.
What do you mean?
Okay, I need my phone. It is the...
Okay, let me pick up on a point. Okay. Is in the government's repealing things?
No. I mean Te Pāti Māori. Sorry, I don't have my phone on me.
Right. Well, that was awkward.
Yeah, it certainly was. I sort of think, look, is it fair when political rivals, clip this stuff out and send it out in a moralised way? Normally it feels like it wasn't, but actually that kind of was in keeping with the rest of the interview. It was very, very unfocused. Other reports have mentioned that she's made blunders during debates, that she's now being shielded from the media. I think TVNZ's Mikey Sherman had that in her report on Monday on that by-election shaping up. Andrea Vance in the Sunday Star Times had said, she vague, muddled facts, misstating policy, the legal status of the Regulatory Standards Bill. It doesn't look tidy. So in this instance, possibly fair enough. Also, this awkwardness of, I think the spin-off had an account of a public debate where her co-leaders, Debbie Ngarewa-Paka and Rari Waititi, were answering questions on her behalf. She was deferring to them. So, kind of doesn't look good. Being the newbie who needs to check the notes was how the spin-off had kind of described there.
Do you think that the fact she was formerly a broadcaster might now be counting against her, and that she might not be performing in the polished way people are accustomed to seeing her in. Although that doesn't mean that she's not a good candidate, right?
No, absolutely not. And so that's why I thought maybe this is what we suspected, or just all this attention on it because she's someone people might know from the media. But, there was a really interesting media question. Jack Tame asked her about trust in the media and if, journalists leave the media and suddenly join a political party, take sides, would that damage trust in the media? Now, first she said she hadn't thought about the question, but I recall when she was selected as a candidate, she had said, look, I'm tired of standing on the sidelines trying to be objective, and I want to, she welcomed, so she clearly really thought about it, but that wasn't obvious when she gave this answer.
It's an obvious transition, I suppose, from journalism, especially being a political, having time in a political position.
Do you think it damages trust, though? How can people trust other journalists and trust that they will be balanced or neutral in their reporting if they see high-profile broadcast journalists going from a broadcasting career into politics?
Journalists seek the truth, irrespective of which outfit they look for, and that's no different from me going into politics.
I mean, a lot of better ways to answer that question. You could have said, look, go back 40 years, Lindsay Perigo, Maggie Barry, Nicola Gray, there's so many. Paul Henry, all had stood for political parties and the media didn't collapse. It's a bit unfortunate. But I think it clearly is a question she would have thought about. And, if that was going to come up, your status as a broadcaster, that would be one thing you'd want to be ready for, I would have thought.
Let's talk about Westport Gumboot Man. Stellar bit of radio on Checkpoint last night, Colin. Westport Dairy Farm manager who was hit by lightning and reckons his gumboots saved his life.
That's right. Now, were Hayden Donnell still of this parish, he would have been nominating Chris Wilson for New Zealander of the Year. I'm sure.
He would have wanted a permanent residence at Te Papa for him, I think.
Oh, yeah, that's his other thing, isn't it? Yeah, but, I mean, he's still banging on about that. Isn't that like more than a decade old? That he just doesn't have
come on. He's barely
dead
been
horse
away all
flogging.
week.
I don't know. He needs to get another hobby. This isn't about him. This is about Chris Wilson, herding the cows into the milking shed, 6 a.m, lightning struck. And, Lisa Owen got the story out of him on Checkpoint.
Oh, were they a favourite pair?
Oh, they were just, the best ones.
Tell us what brand were they? What are they?
The Sculler Up Quattros.
And what's so good about the Quattros? They got thick rubber soles.
Yeah, and they're comfy as.
It was a great interview. Soul to the earth. It was fabulous.
The gumboots are available. I should say, actually, I don't know whether they were. I'm trying not to say milking it on Checkpoint today, but the only fragment of Checkpoint I heard today was Lisa Owen reading stuff out about gumboots, and some podiatrist texted in with recommendations. I won't say of what brand. So maybe they did more on gumboots, but I checked the rundown. They didn't look like a main item, but there must have been feedback. But I'm not surprised because it was a great interview.
Yeah. And it came from that dogged little paper you feature quite a lot in Mediawatch over the years, Westport News.
Yeah, well, it's a remarkable paper. Still got a cover price, still publishing every day.
Is that Lee Scanlon?
It is, yeah. And Lee Scanlon wrote the story. Her byline was on it. So it wasn't even the front page lead. It was that sort of lower right-hand section of the front page in yesterday's paper. And the caption on the photo was great. It had the gumboot with the hole in it where the lightning bolt must have exited. And it said, Chris Wilson wanted a photo of his holed gumboots published rather than a photo of himself, and then photo supplied. And the key quote was, best gumboots I've ever had them for 2 years. I've always had rows with every boss about getting expensive gumboots, but I'm like, if I'm going to be in these 12 hours, 10-hour days, maybe I want decent ones, and I think these ones saved me. And a hat tip to the Farmers Weekly, who wrote up the story for their website with the headline, Sole Survivor.
Oh, very good. Oh, well
Farmer
done.
thanks boots after lightning strike.
Give that sub-editor a pay rise. Goodness me. All right, couple of minutes left. And, the new RNZ plan for RNZ National and the confronting report by Richard Sutherland, this has been a topic of discussion for the past couple of weeks. You talked about all that with RNZ's Chief Executive, Paul Thompson, on Mediawatch in the weekend. I thought it was a really good and interesting interview, Colin, but you have a clarification to make?
Oh, yeah, just what I misspoke slightly at one point. So it was in the report that Richard Sutherland, one of his many recommendations was that RNZ could hire, or should hire, straight away a new high-profile presenter from outside, and then in a section at the back that I said there was a section called Easy Wins that he listed at the back, and it said presenter change at Morning Report. It was what I said. In fact, the report listed Morning Report presenter move under the heading Early Wins. So didn't quite get that right, didn't have it in front of me. So this referred, actually, the presenter move thing refers to Richard Sutherland's recommendation that both the Morning Report presenting roles should be done in Auckland, and along with more of the production of the program. So Richard Sutherland did not in his report actually say, we should change the presenters of any program, let alone Morning Report. So the way I strung those two things together and said presenter change rather than presenter move, which referred to the move to Auckland, could have confused listeners with my misspeaking.
Cool. All right. And with about a minute left, Colin, you have a couple of bouquets, a couple of recommendations for light reading to hand out.
Oh, yeah. Another Substack. Hamish McNeely, the Stuff Dunedin reporter. Yeah, the Mish is
so
back.
Good.
Yeah, and he's launched it again this is with the specific purpose of covering the Dunedin Mayoralty local elections and the Otago elections as well, interviewing some of the candidates and then, spinning it out and doing a bit of a Shane Carter playlist at the end of it. He even did a poll saying, who do you think will win the Mayoralty? He got 220 votes. I'm trying to work out if that's good or not, but I think if your Substack has been kind of dormant,
totally,
that's pretty good. I love the way you launched it, by the way. Just really briefly said, This is the intro. The longest local government campaign ever. Before I bore you with pipes, rubbish, seesaws, long-term readers will note this is my first newsletter in over a year, while newer readers won't give a shit. Way to big it up.
Great stuff. I'm glad that the Mish is back, and Hamish is a great reporter and writer, so that's good news. Colin, lovely to have you on. We'll catch you again next week.
Thanks so much. I'll be here.